Siddur Snippets is generously sponsored by the Saka family and by Yelad Avram Foreman or for Shlema Hadassah Racha Baschana Golda. We're in the 18th bracha of the Amida, the bracha of Modim, and we've been giving an introduction to this bracha, which last left off. That Modim, the Mishnah Berurah says, even though the Gemara qualifies, one has to minimally have kavanah for one bracha, and we ordinarily think the Shulchan Aruch says that bracha is avos. The Mishnah Berurah, based on other achronim, even Rishonim, says maybe the bracha is modim. Modim is such a foundational bracha to be grateful. And we explained why. That word modim, the word hoda'ah, is both gratitude and an admission. And the entire Amida is predicated on the admission that we need Hashem, that we are dependent on Him, that we can't do or go anywhere or get anything done without Him. Each of the things that we're asking for in the Amida presupposes that sense of dependence, the humility to recognize we need Him, we rely on Him, and that's why Avos and Modim are when we bow, and that's why Modim may be the bracha where it's critical to have kavanah, and one can be yotze the Amida just by having kavanah, at least minimally, for that one bracha of Modim. When we mention bowing for the bracha of Modim, the Gemara in Baba Kama Daf Tezayin tells us that Shidro Shel Adam Lachar Sheva Shanim Nasa Nachash Hanimili de Lokara b'Modim. 7 years after one dies, their spine will turn into a snake if, indeed, they did not bow properly at Modim. And you might be wondering, naturally, why? Bowing at Modim is so important. If you don't bow at Modim, so a person's spine will turn into a snake. Why a snake? And why Dafka Modim? There are other times of the Amida that we bow. And why is that the punishment? So Tosfos there on the Gemara Baba Kama says, L'fisha mitzvah l'chroa, v'chizakiv zakiv yamida keneged mida v'nasa nachash. Zo onsho shegenayu lo b'masha nasa nachash. It's a mida keneged mida. If a person refused to and didn't bow, then it is considered to be indignant. It's considered to be something embarrassing or shameful to turn into a nachash. But still, what is the deeper connection? Tosfos says it's mida keneged mida, but what is the connection between the two? So the Tolas Yaakov in his Soda Kedusha writes that we know we have a tradition that in our spine there is a particular bone called the luz bone, that when a person dies, even though their body will disintegrate, even though their body will disappear, that bone, the luz bone, will remain. There's a tradition, if you ate malava malka, then the luz bone will remain, but that luz bone will never disintegrate, will never dissolve, will never disappear. And fulfilling the pasuk in Yeshaya Atzmosecha Yachalitz, it's from that bone that the tzaddik, even after their death, draws the greatest pleasure. And the onesh for Hashoim is in that bone. Vati avonosam al atzmosam. The punishment and the pain comes through that luz bone. The tradition, Chazal also told us that Tchias HaMesim, when we'll come back to life, when there will be resurrection, will be reformed from that luz bone. And if a person doesn't have that luz bone, they can't be reformed because meaning not reformed, but formed, because a person can't be reassembled and come back to life unless there's yesh miyesh. Hashem doesn't create yesh me'ayim ex nihilo again. Tchias HaMesim is there has to be something to form the basis, to build and rebuild the person from. And that luz bone is that basis. So what will make us preserve the luz bone? What enables us to continue to have it, aside from eating malava malka, is bowing properly at Modim. Why? What is it about bowing properly at Modim? If you don't bow at Modim, then the spine turns into a snake. If you do, you preserve the luz from which a person can be rebuilt. What are these connections? There are several beautiful insights and understandings of this connection. We'll just share one to get us started tonight. Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz in his Yaros Dvash says the following: Yadua, Omram, Gemara Brachos Lamedal, Shetzarach Adam Lechro b'Modim, Ad she'ispakaku kol chulyo shebeshidra. The proper way to bow is not just to give a nod, it's not just to do something symbolic, but a person has to properly bow. And then when a person rises, first with your head, and then your spine follows. And the proper bowing in the Amida, in Modim in particular, engages all of the vertebrae in the back, all of the bones in the spine. Says Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, by engaging all the vertebrae, all of the bones in our spine, we are essentially declaring, fulfilling Kol Atzmosai Tomarna. My spine, my skeleton, the essence of who I am, it's all directed, it's all channeled, it's all focused on your service. I'm bowing, I am surrendering, I am submitting, I am deferring to you. The essence of what Modim is all about. as we mentioned, the Mishnah Berurah says, minimally you can have kavanah for modim, because the person has to make the admission, I depend on you, I rely on you. When we bow, we surrender, we submit. When we bow, we defer. When we bow, we are essentially saying, Hashem, I depend, I rely, I admit, I entirely need you. And the more I engage every vertebrae in my spine, in my back, the more my entire skeleton, the essence of who I am, suggests that, it expresses that, it demonstrates that, then the more that I am connected to Hashem. Says Rabbi Yonason, so when a person demonstrates calisthenics, where the Amida is not just recited with our mouth, the Amida is recited with our being. We bow at different times of the Amida, and in Modim in particular, when we bow, and we bow fully, and we bow slowly, and we engage every vertebrae, every bone in our back, we are not only articulating Modim and Hoda'ah with our mouth, we're demonstrating it with our being. Zula Sa'ino, there's no one and nothing but you. Vavme Aroishi Akol Nasa Labudas Hashem, Uvemakam Shabo, Kain Yelech, Ulekach Amar Shidro Shalad Menasa Nachash, Mandalo Karaba Modim. Te'ein Nosein Rishus V'koch L'Sitra Achra Lelech Basar Taiva V'chemda, V'lo L'Shem Shemayim. V'zeu Koach Shal Nachash, Asher Teshufenu Akev L'Achei Nasa Nachash. So why is it that the spine turns into a snake if in fact you don't bow? Because everything we're trying to accomplish, everything we're trying to communicate by bowing, if we fail to bow, we are indulging, we are following, we are subscribing to the philosophy of the Nachash. And we'll pick up with this more tomorrow night. That was the Nachash. The Nachash tried to break us off from Hashem. Don't listen to him, his rules, who needs him? We don't depend on him, we don't rely on him. So if you don't bow and you don't demonstrate that surrender, that submission, that deferring, that acknowledging we are dependent, then in fact we are living the philosophy of the Nachash, and that's why the spine turns into the Nachash. Azai Zak the Yaros Devash Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz. We'll pick up with it more tomorrow night.